Joining us, Mahesh Uppal, who's a telecom expert. Mahesh, what really do you think would be the ramifications of this order on the telecom sector?
Well, I think there are two things that will happen. One is, of course, that this is good news for the incumbents, that is the older players who have been in the sector for quite a while and whose access to spectrum and the level of competition in the sector, both those things were issues for them. And clearly, the cancellation of these licenses is good news for them, and there'll be more spectrum for them and less competition. The second is obviously that the new entrants will have to consider whether they want to continue in the business or not. In other words, after the cancellation of these licenses, they will have to decide whether they want to bid again in the auctions that will presumably be held in the next few months. So that will be the other thing. And I don't think this is bad news for investors in general, because the fact that the Supreme Court has finally stood up for transparency and fair play, and even including rational management of spectrum, I think is very good news. I think for any wireless player, this is excellent news that spectrum will be managed in a way that is transparent and reflects its value.
Right. Not just spectrum. In terms of allocation process, you can expect greater amount of emphasis on fair play in the future. That could be a huge relief. But on the flip side of it, Mahesh, just want to understand this for our viewers.
Sure.
What is the relevance of a 2G auction in 2012? We saw this go in 2008. 4 years down the line, what is the relevance of 2G to the telecom sector and the relevance of an auction therein?
Well, two things. 2G is still spectrum that is in great demand, and in fact, part of the reason why 3G auctions led to the kind of windfall for the government was precisely because there was no 2G spectrum available and companies had no option but to bid for 3G. So I think 2G is required even to continue existing 2G services, which are expanding, and the usage is expanding. And of course, in 2008, we did not auction the spectrum as we should have, and the courts have now said that it should be. I think it will also help clarify what the actual value of the spectrum is today, because as you know, the TRAI has also come up with a number about what that notional value may have been. And I think this auction will allow us to find out what the market sees as the value of that spectrum. So all this is good. The spectrum is very, very valuable and scarce, and any of that spectrum which is wrongly held, as the courts have held, it should come back into the kitty, and is coming back to the kitty. So that's good news.
So what you're saying is that even if there is an auction, there could be a possibility of the exchequer making more money out of the same 2G spectrum?
Well, I think, of course, by definition, they'll make more money because the spectrum is worth more than the value of the old license. But whether they will make the kind of money that the CAG is thinking the government lost by not auctioning it is a moot question. My own feeling is that we will not get a number anywhere close to the 176,000 crores that the CAG has notionally pegged that value at.
One small question, Mr. Uppal. You made the point the incumbents have a huge advantage now. The Airtels and the Vodafones will have a huge advantage over the new players. In a sense, you have a clear hierarchy now within the telecom sector that has been set, and perhaps will that reduce the competitiveness of this sector?
Well, yes and no. Of course, in a very literal sense, yes, because there will be fewer players. Presumably, some of the players whose licenses are cancelled will now think again and maybe not bid. However, remember also that even before these licenses were issued,